the flag if we could, please.
I do not have a flag. I apologize.
Okay, well then I've got one here in my office, and I'm sure you guys have one somewhere nearby. So I'll go ahead and recite it. If you'll put yours on mute, I'd appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do we have any public comment here before we get started? I don't know if there would be a place for it, but I'll ask for it anyway.
Yeah, we do not have any public currently on.
Okay. All right. Item number 1. You want to go ahead and read that, Melissa?
Okay. Item number 1, discuss strategic planning.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll take it from here. Thank you all for participating today. The reason I'm bringing this to you today is maybe for a couple of reasons, but you know, a couple of months ago, President Balin was giving me a little bit of guidance, as she's done from time to time, which I appreciate. And one of those things was whether or not we should, and she thinks we should have another facilitated strategic planning session. A couple of the reasons are, one, and I agree, it's kind of a best management practice. I think occasionally, at some interval, I don't know what the definite interval should be, but at some intervals, regularly the board and staff should get together and have a facilitated opportunity strategic planning session. Another reason is there's been quite a bit of change at the board level and at the management level. I feel like both you directors and Director Murphy have not been a part of a fully facilitated strategic planning session, and this new, and of course not with this current managers and staffing level. So, you know, it's clear that it's a best management practice and something that should be done. The question is whether or not, you know, for TUD, if it's the right time. It's not. It was something that wasn't budgeted. You know, the previous general manager did not budget it for this fiscal year that we're currently in. So it's not budgeted. So we'd have to find these funds. And as we heard from Steve Sheffield just the other day, how concerned we are within budget, but with the volatility of everything going on right now, it's, you know, the finances are of concern. So. The previous 2 general managers, not counting the interim general managers, have all done a strategic planning. I know in your staff report, it does say that the last 2 were done in 2019 and 2008, but I made a mistake there. There was one done in 2016 by Tom Haglund, and then later in 2019 by Ed Pattison. So anyhow, that's why I'm bringing it to you. I reached out to Michael Minkler of Calaveras County Water District back in December after I spoke with Director Balin and asked him how his process went, which I actually attended one of those sessions that was done virtual. And the one session that I attended, for whatever reason, I forget what motivated me to do that, but I was either encouraged to or pushed to, but for whatever reason, I did attend one of those. Anyway, Michael over there at Calaveras thought that the process they went through was really good for him and his board. They had a similar situation where they had a turnover at the board level and managers level, and they felt it was time to update their plan. I don't know how old their old plan was, but in any event, they really liked GEI, who we reached out to for a proposal, which you have in your budget. They really liked the process. It really was an opportunity for the board and the staff to unite and have a joint vision for the district moving forward. So anyhow, I hope this is just kind of an open dialogue with you all. Abby's here and Steve for questions that you might have for them. But anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. In the end, you know, I'd like to have this conversation, but I'm looking for some encouragement, maybe to take this to the full board for full consideration. And you might ask yourself, and I ask myself too, you know, why, you know, do I take this to committee? Do I take it to the full board? And I just The reason I chose to bring it to the financial committee is because of the financial aspect, right? Again, it was not budgeted. It just seems like it's a natural place to begin the discussion with you folks. So anyway, I hope that was somewhat clear. If you have some questions for me, I mean, yeah, if you have some questions for me, go ahead. I did provide you guys with our latest strategic plan update that we did in 2020. So do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, Don, I got just one question here right off the top of my head. I see here the estimate here is 78,000. Did I miss, or is it on here about how soon they could start? Or is it, did I miss that?
Well, they do. There is a timeline down there at the bottom, and of course that's a little old now because it's been over a month since we've talked to them. But I think they have it. They have it starting in early March, so it would have to be adjusted by a couple of weeks, and then
Okay.
they have it kind of wrapped up by July.
Okay. All right.
And on that budget, I think there's some opportunity. I was talking with Abby and Lisa earlier. I think there's some room in that budget that we can work on to pare that down. We feel like there's a little bit too much in there for some of that planning. We could probably pare that down by a few $1,000s, we think.
Mm-hmm. So where are you proposing this money would come out of if it's not, since it's not budgeted, where are we gonna take it from?
Well, I didn't give that a lot of thought. I've got Steve here. He could help me with that quick answer, but I'd have to refer to Steve. I didn't contemplate that just yet.
Got
Steve?
any ideas, Steve?
Well, $78,000 is a lot of money. And as I said the other day, every day we're having things come up. The recent news over the past couple of days isn't encouraging by any means. It's not like we have a reserve we can pull from for this. It's not as if we have, we would have to scrub through and do it. I guess from my perspective, I've been involved in, a lot of these, both before TUD and with TUD, and I just kind of question, to me, I look at this and it appears to be a full-blown strategic plan, which typically is what's done when your strategic plan is very old, non-existent, or you have significant changes in operations. I mean, I think we have an existing strategic plan. I'm not sure how familiar the board members are with it, but I would look to more, I think, we need an update. And I really question the timing of it. Given that it's almost March now, we're going to be starting a new fiscal year with a new fiscal budget. We're going to have an election in November, so we may have new board members. We're going to, with this PG&E thing, we're going to go from providing water and wastewater services to providing hydrology, water supply, hydroelectric, all these other things. So I'm kind of questioning the timing of it. And again, I don't, if everybody's gung ho, let's get this done, let's spend this money that we don't have and we didn't budget. We just have to not do something else, but some things you can't put off and do that. But yeah, I don't have anything right off the top of my head, Jeff.
Okay. David, you got a question?
Yes, I do. Don, was there some particular area of the strategic plan you were wanting to go through review on?
You mean the existing the strategic plan?
Yes.
I don't know. I was looking at what we have here currently as the top TUD board priorities include secure water supply, which is AKA water rights, water rights acquisition. The second bullet point there is secure surface water supply from New Maloney's. Well, that is also known as a CVP contract with the Bureau. If you didn't know, TUD has joined efforts with and partnered with the Chicken Ranch Rancheria on that effort. I won't say it's well on its way, but it's in the work in the process of identifying our water needs assessment. So that's ongoing. The next two bullet points are together. I mean, there's the regional septage receiving facility upgrade, and the next one is the regional wastewater treatment plant upgrade. Well, you're well aware of where we're going on that. And then the last bullet point is the Sonora Regional Treatment Plant consolidation. And that one there definitely is going to take some heavy board involvement. It is too big of a decision for the managers to come up with. We're going to really grapple with what's the tipping point. We're going to need to spend several $1 million at the existing treatment plant. At what point does that mean we need to invest for that plant for 15 or 20 years, or not, and put, really focus on minimum upgrades there and put your energy out the new Sonora Regional Treatment Plant. So that's it. So, and like Steve said, we're moving forward. We're going to be in the hydro generation business for sure. How does that change our focus and our vision and our goals and strategies there? There's this word recreation gets thrown about quite a bit. I don't know how much recreation we'll be into just via the fact of having control of Pinecrest. So that's my answer for you, David. Other than that, it's really just a board-driven and manager-driven discussion, trying to see if the strategies and the goals need to change or shift.
As far as bringing the review of the strategic plan and all of that, and being familiar with the strategic plan at a board level, I actually think it'd be worthwhile to have a full board workshop type review of the strategic plan on an annual basis prior to budget. And then if there was, full board consensus that way to update major portions of the, strategic plan, you'd have full board consensus to put it in the budget and all that. As Steve was starting to go through the timelines and stuff, I was thinking that pushing out a full year from now, say like we put it in next year's budget, and actually going through and doing a full, strategic plan next year. At first that didn't make sense. But with the accomplishment actually happening on several of these items, for the wastewater side, the, new wastewater treatment plant, new facilities for septic receiving, facilities at the new plant, the dewatering equipment that's going in to, process our solids going forward. It seems like we're already well underway with a lot of the things that are currently on it, but a full review going item by item through our plan, as a workshop type thing. I am really apprehensive about if we've gotten one proposal, that's good, but what is the competition for the what was it, GCI?
DEI, yeah.
What's our competition say that they would go through a strategic plan for us, especially and in my mind it's in light of how the Twinehart treatment plant study is going on. To me, that almost seems like we single source that without, seeing what the rest of the engineering and, people who do strategic plans
Yeah.
we didn't go to a bid.
Yeah.
On a very large item. So, and it is, like, there's no money budgeted. We end up dropping something else that we've chosen as a priority to get done. Yeah, I kind of think the board would be, wanting to make sure we're being frugal with our ratepayer money at this time. And is this our best time to do a full plan?
Thank you, David. Yeah, if I'm tracking you well enough, I think you, on one hand, I think, and that's why I wanted to come to this finance committee. I think it most fits. I think on one hand, I think you feel like this should go out for a competitive bid. So put out proposal, request for proposal from multiple agencies to get a competitive bid. Right, that's loud and clear what I think I heard from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think I got from you was in line with what Steve was just talking about, is just going through a review process of the existing strategic plan for planning for the next year, and then if the board so chose to put in the budget for a facilitated strategic plan for a later date that may come of that session. Is that kind of what I heard from you, the gist of it?
Yeah, and just full consensus to on a review. What has a strategic plan, say like the wastewater side, improvements to the regional plant, septic facility, and drying equipment. Okay, we're well underway with doing that. At what point would you see removing those things? We've accomplished that, and they then thereby get removed from the strategic plan.
Yeah, I think that's your point exactly, and that's what I think what Steve's point is too. Is we just need to, and we didn't do this last year. We were in, where we were, 10 months ago. I don't want to go back there, but we just didn't take the time to go through a review of the existing and update it, where what you're talking about would have happened, or at least portions of that would have happened. And I'm getting the idea from this conversation that it's probably something we really should do anyway. Because you're right, that's where that would happen.
Yeah. All right. That's all I have for the moment.
So then, if I'm hearing Director Boatright, he'd be in, I guess, David, you'd be in favor of sending to the full board the option to review the existing strategic plan, correct?
Yes, correct. So everybody would have input, but in a workshop setting, so that the goal would be out of that workshop to come up with direction. Do we go for full review? Is the full board satisfied with our current strategic plan? And maybe answer the question. Once we're under contract actually doing an item, such as the regional wastewater treatment facility, does it then get removed at the soonest opportunity of an update for the strategic plan, and replaced with some other goal, or the other goals that are already there get moved up in priority for going forward?
Yeah, and you brought up something there, and right when you first started speaking there about the board would still have the opportunity to, if they so chose, to do a complete revamp of the strategic plan. So if you're looking for direction, Dawn, to take this item before the full board, it sounds to me like David and I are in agreement to go ahead and do that. And then however the board decides, whether it is just a review of the current plan, or they can decide that they want to do a complete new strategic plan. I think that would, obviously that's going to be the board's prerogative anyway. So
right.
That's what we would do. Correct, David? Are you in agreement with that statement, David?
Okay, good. So a couple of things that just came to mind that I didn't really talk about is one is, it would be my desire, and I think I have agreement amongst the managers here, I think, that we're able to do this in person. I just feel like we'd get a better product if we could, either we do an update or a full-blown new strategic plan. I'd like to do that in person. In this budget that you're looking at from GEI, there's an in-person add-on to do that. So, and then the second thing is, I personally would feel comfortable even in an update if it was facilitated by somebody who's used to facilitating. That way, somebody who's trained in this area of facilitating can capture everybody's input and put it together logically versus relying on Don to do that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there is value when we're in a workshop setting that we do have a neutral third party that facilitates, because then that eliminates, in my opinion at least, any potential bias or whatnot that someone may or may not think is there. Maybe I'm being naive on that, but I know that's my feeling when I go into something like that. At least we've got somebody who has no preconceived ideas, or shouldn't have any preconceived ideas going into it.
Okay, thank you.
Now, with our agendized item is the strategic plan. Does that, Don, you'd mentioned a little bit about the new Sonora water treatment plant. Without getting too far down a tangent, are we able to go after grants to secure the engineering, to pay for the engineering of that, since we now own that property, and then maybe set that up to, instead of putting into the current Sonora water treatment plant, this is several $1 million for upgrades to keep it current, that we would build a component on the new property that would serve the future new treatment plant there, and somehow convey that. My biggest thing on that would be, like the sedimentation basin has gotten a Band-Aid put on it, some different things done to kind of keep it creeping along, but maybe build a new, settling basin up there that is designed into going, and that kind of works out as a strategic plan. Get the engineering done, know what size that facility is going to need in the future, build that, and then basically convey settled water to the existing site. And that requires, it would require getting power to the new property, and budgeting going forward for that. But the power service, same thing. Strategic plan would be, know your plant size, your engineering, get the full size drop for the future plan.
Yeah. So I'll try to answer some of your questions there, but I think primarily was, is there grant funding for doing some design? And what I think I know, and Steve, I wish Eric Johnson was here. He's out of town, but Steve might be able to help me out here if I don't get this quite right. But what I think I know is the district would front the cost for some preliminary designs, environmental, to the tune of maybe up to $1 million, of which would be reimbursable, at least in the past, of like the Sierra Pines is reimbursable. So if that's on that part. So that I think is something that can be done. And then again, I think you're hitting kind of a point here on the overall strategic planning. I don't, again, I need the board, or at least some committees to weigh in on the direction of the treatment plant. Well, I'm talking about the new Sonora Regional Treatment Plant, water treatment plant, or the existing Sonora water treatment plant. We just need some guidance there. I like your strategy there. That's a way to bridge a gap and not waste money, for sure. but it is going to be expensive. Whether or not, we are successful in getting a grant at the end of the day is to be determined, I suppose. So.
Yeah, well, ultimately, I really, don't want to see us build something on the old site that ends up abandoned, basically, we spent money on it, but, now it's no longer useful to us because it's in the wrong spot.
Right.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
with you there.
but yeah, as far as the strategic plan, it's got a lot of good information or direction, and I think we've got a lot of it is, from past management, past boards. I think we're still working towards our existing plan. It would be nice to, like Steve's idea of, the new nuances to the district format, not just being water and wastewater, recreation, hydropower, water, selling, reallocation of the water that's coming through.
All right. Well, I think I have some direction. If I have this right, we'll just take it to the board with a couple of options, right? For the full board to consider. Option one is a brand new, fully facilitated strategic plan. We'll have to find the money to do that. Or two, option B is to have a future workshop, soon to be future workshop, to update the existing strategic plan. Does that sound? Do I have that right?
Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of, the full full workshop review. We could hire in a facilitator, which I'm sure would be substantially less than the full blown strategic plan, and have the option for the board. Now, in a workshop format, is the board permitted to do a motion and a vote to, is that an agendized type thing for a workshop, or does it have to be considered a full board meeting?
Board can do a motion in a workshop, absolutely. It just has to be agendized that way that the board will be taking action during that workshop.
Yeah, it's just like any other special meeting, really, isn't it? That the way it is, Melissa?
Absolutely. It's actually a special board meeting. I know we've started to kind of say workshop, but it actually is a special board meeting.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that and you mentioned it too, Don, about GEI, that you thought you could get them down a few more $1,000, and I like the sound of that, because I do share the similar fears that Steve does, and we got a lot of stuff here we're chewing on. So the more affordable we can make this, the better. So, but yeah, I think you've got some good direction here to take this on up.
So I want to make sure I got it right. So I'm going to take it to a future board meeting as one of the regular agendized items to discuss the options of either a full-blown brand new strategic plan, or an option B to update the existing at a future special board meeting that might be facilitated. Correct?
That's what I've got on my notes. You agree, David?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it was take it to a special, request a special board meeting as an agendized full review of the strategic plan, with the facilitator, with the adder, that, would go to a full, brand new strategic plan.
So not take it to the full board to discuss what direction we want to go? Is that what you're saying?
Well, actually, bring the full board in for a full review of what we've got. And at that point, have the board decide, are we current enough? Can we change enough on this to keep us going through, and, we obviously, a few years from now, as other things come, potentially come online, we are definitely going to need a new strategic plan at that moment. But I just want to see the, full board have a chance to have enough time to review. It's a pretty in-depth document. And if we take it to a regular board meeting, I don't know that it's going to get its fully deserved time.
What do you think, Don, for your end goals here and what you want out of this strategic plan? Do you think that's a workable solution, or are you thinking that we need to do the complete workshop? Kind of putting you on the spot, but
No, you're not putting me on the spot. This is what this is all about. This is how we're going to work together, figure this out. So, I think it's not a bad idea. But I'm just trying to step through the process. I think I need to take it to the board first, I think, to identify what we're going to do and schedule a workshop to, one, update the strategic plan. And in that process, we all might decide that it's time to do a full-blown one right then on the spot, and then there could be a motion, and however it goes, it goes. That sound about right?
I think that's a workable way to do it.
Okay.
yeah, okay.
I think.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that too. I think, Steve brought up another thing too. I mean, it is an election year, and Director Ringen and our seats are up. So, I mean, one or both of us could be gone. So that does hold some weight with me as well too. So it might be better to approach this from a review standpoint, and then we can decide at that point what we want to do, which is exactly what we're talking about. So.
Well, great. Thank you. That's good direction. You got that, Melissa?
I got it. Thank you.
You took notes?
I did.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other business then?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And it's Thursday, but everybody have a good weekend anyway, and we'll talk to you in March, huh?
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Take care.
Okay, meeting adjourned.